For some unknown reason, I was convinced that we already did the Kuva Kohm. But turns out that no, we absolutely did not. Which is complete and utter heresy, because the Kuva Kohm is one of the best, most fun shotguns in the game. It does primarily slash damage, sports a decent enough 19% crit chance with an above average 2.3 times crit multiplier and an absolutely seemingly massive 90% status chance. The reason I worded it as such is because of the way the Kohm works. It has a spool-up mechanic that increases its fire rate and multi-shot as it's fired, and as the multi-shot goes up, the status gets divided into more and more projectiles. This does come with the downside though, because unlike normal multi-shot, as you fire more and more projectiles with the Kohm, it also consumes more and more ammo from the magazine. And finally, as it is a Kuva weapon, the only way to get it is by vanquishing a lich that's wielding it. So let us finally give it a shot. Shall we? I have an impact-based Kohm because I made a mistake and accidentally spawned the lich with Wukong back in the day, and I was always too lazy to get another one. However, nowadays, we're one format away from being able to do a Valence Override. Primary Crux was basically made for weapons like this because not only does it bolster the really high status chance, it also helps with the biggest downside of the Kuva Kohm, which is how fast it consumes ammo when it's fully spooled up. We need primed point blank for some base damage. Let's get Hell's Chamber for the multi-shot and Galvanized Savvy. I haven't decided whether we're gonna go hybrid or not just yet. Some people like to go vital. I tend to prefer corrosive here. The status isn't as insanely high as it shows, by the way. This number right here is just for a single projectile, and as it spools up, it splits it into multiple. I love the idea of magnetic strafe. Having magnetic and corrosive is a good combo, but also the fire rate is gonna balance out critical deceleration. And there we go. Let's put the Forma on. We don't need the capacity from this, but we need 5 Forma for the Valence Override. Magnificent damage. This is such a good shotgun. Good God. But, I don't think we have enough fire rate. It's decent enough when it's pulled up, but it's very, very slow when it's not. Bit sad about the magnetic damage, but I really, really want more fire rate, so let's run Shotgun Barrage instead. Oh, that is just the right amount of fire rate. That is the sweet spot right there. We did lose quite a bit of damage though. So now we have the fire rate, but we don't have the damage. It's quite obvious why. We only have 2 dual stat mods, which is not a lot. But I do have a plan, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna borrow the dash from the Exiles, and we are going to run Primed Charge Shell, which should give us quite a bit more. Wow, that actually doubles our damage. Wowee. Well, hey, why settle for one when you can have both fire rate and damage? This is exquisite, my dudes and dudettes. Yeah, even the spool up is nice and snappy now. Hood Boy Geralt. Oh, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. That is ridiculous. Yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's so good. Oi, give it back, you dimwit.
Clum!
Rude. This weapon deserves all the love it gets. If I could marry this, I probably would. Wouldn't mind being pronounced a husband and a Kohm. By the way, this only works because of primary cracks. A build like this would not work if you didn't... Oh, a lot of balls. 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 What the fuck was that about, brain? As I was saying, a build like this wouldn't really work without primary crux because you would not have the ammunition to sustain it, even with mutation. Sometimes I worry these videos might end up being Exhibit A at my psychiatric evaluation. I know a lot of people like the dot variant of the build for the Kohm, you know, they go like vital and heat or electricity, but I tend to prefer corrosive and go more upfront damage instead. Oh, you don't like that at all now, do you? Whoa, ho ho ho. It would be nicer with a little bit of cold to slow the Acolyte down, but still, that was tremendous. This is another benefit of doing an upfront damage build. Look at that. Just shreddage. Major shreddage. We could go cold as well, but let's try heat first. It's not gonna make a massive difference, you know, it's a 30% valence bonus, but still, it's nice to finally have a good one. I mean, we could run Vigilante Supplies for more crit, but I think Galvanized Acceleration for more effective range is going to be better. I love this so much. It's such a smooth feeling weapon that it just works so well. I've always been a big fan of the Kohm, even the original one, but the Kuva Kohm with crux, so you don't have to reload every 3 nanoseconds? Chef's kiss. Honestly, if you asked me which Kuva weapons you should get first, I would probably go Nucor number 1. Nucor is just busted, especially with the Enervate. And then I would go with Kohm, because like Brahma and Tsar and Tonkor are cool, but the Kohm is just so special. I know a lot of people also like the Kuva Chakar, but for me that weapon's a little bit too niche to be recommending it as one of your first Kuvas. Alright, I think we're done here. This is pretty much as good as it gets, methinks, so let's go wrap it all up. So, here's what we ended up with on the Kuva Kohm. We have Prime Point Blank for damage, Galvanized Health for multi-shot, Galvanized Avi for status chance and condition overload, and then we have Primed Ravage and Critical Deceleration for crit. We follow that up with Shotgun Barrage for loads of pew pews, and we top it off with Toxic Barrage and Prime Charge Shell for a ton of corrosive. Toxic Barrage can be replaced with Contagious Spread if you're willing to lose a little bit of status for a tiny bit more damage. Now, while Galvanized Acceleration is not necessary, it is really nice because it's gonna give you a lot more effective range. It extends the fall-off range by a few meters. And finally, the star of the show here is our Arcane Primary Crux, which on a headshot gives us a ton of status as well as ammo efficiency. This is very important for the Kuva Kohm because one of its biggest downsides has always been its ammo sustain. It is extremely ammo hungry. And Primary Crux makes it more than manageable. You don't even need mutation most of the time. Additionally, I would also highly recommend you try to squeeze 2 Emerald Archon shards onto your frame because this weapon procs a ton of corrosive with every shot, so being able to strip away the enemy armor with corrosion alone is really nice. And finally, a solid priming pad is always a good idea. I use a Hound, Good Boy Harold, that primes Cold, Radiation, Heat, Magnetic, Puncture, Impact and Viral. This is one of the most reliable shotguns in the entire game. If you build it well, it's going to rip everything to bits. I know a lot of people prefer to go the damage over time route with the Kohms, but I think going straight upfront damage with corrosive is the way to go. It just feels a lot better and it performs extremely well. Though that's of course not to say that you can't do the damage over time route, you very much can, and I would actually recommend you try it out to see whether you prefer that or this corrosive version. Because at the end of the day, it's your weapon, your build, and you should build it for what feels best for you. So I absolutely recommend you give this a shot. It is a tremendous shotgun that does great damage. As far as the valence bonus, I would try to get a cold-based one because it's most versatile. You can go corrosive and cold, and if you don't like that, you can use the cold to combine into viral. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you today, so I thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.